Hi guys, this is Amy and April from DCB Greenhouse, and this is DCB Greenhouse presents Green Thursdays, and this week is bringing life back to your pantry. And what we mean by that is we're going to be showing you guys a few ways to propagate foods that you would sometimes find in your pantry or your fridge. So we're going to look at how to start your own avocado from something you can buy at the grocery store, your sweet potato, and then pineapple. So it's kind of neat. A lot of the things I've just listed, especially like the pineapple and the avocado, you probably won't be able to grow a full one to get a new avocado or a pineapple, but it's still kind of a neat little project you can do with yourself or with your kids. And you could probably still keep a nice little avocado tree or a pineapple plant growing in your house. But unless you have a greenhouse, you'll probably not get fresh fruit. But with the sweet potato and potato, technically, you'd be having a whole new plant. And if you did it right, you might be able to get another sweet potato or potato off of it, maybe. But to start us out today, we're going to highlight a really interesting and cool plant we have here in the greenhouse. And I'm going to switch you guys over so you can see it. And it's called a mimosa plant. All right, let me figure out how I'm going to do this now. Uh-oh. How do I... Oh, there we go. Perfect. All right, so you'll see right here in front of April, this is our mimosa plant. And the cool thing about mimosa plants is you'll notice, look what I do when I touch the leaf here. I'm just going to touch it. Oh, let me touch it a little bit stronger. There we go. Touch it. Oh, look at that. So as you touch the leaves on these guys, they will close up. Let's try another one. They're really fun to play with. Just pet them a little bit. I'll pet another one, this one right here. Just pet it. Oh, look, it closed. And even, you might even notice, see if I can get a good look at it. Come on, don't zoom out. There we go. The stems will even sometimes, yep, see the stem starts falling down as you touch them. So this is called turgor pressure. So what these plants, when you stimulate the tissues on the plant's leaves and on the stems, what keeps most plants upright is something called turgor pressure. So in the cells of the plant, they have a lot of moist water. And the fuller they are, the more rigidity that the plant has. So it makes, your daisy stand up versus just flop out, because they don't, remember, plants don't have bones and muscles like humans to keep them upright. So they have turgor pressure, which is, allowing moisture in the cell, in that, the basic part of the plant versus not having a lot of it. That's why if a plant is really, really low in water, if it's underwatered or it's drying out, you'll notice it wilts. That's because the cells in the plant is losing its turgor pressure. Now, what makes mimosa plant cooler than a lot of other plants is that it can actually pull the water out of its cells or lessen its turgor pressure on its own will. It's not something that's initiated by low water. And so it's really neat, and that's why it's sometimes called the sensitivity plant. And it's just really fun to play with. And scientists aren't exactly sure why plants that does this. I mean, they have hypotheses about it, and the biggest one is that it's a way to protect itself against pests. So think of an insect that's going to come eat it, like right along here, and it's going to land on it. Well, then when it lands on it, the plant just kind of folds up and falls over, and so the pest will either fall off, or it'll think this isn't a really great way to get a meal. Another really neat thing about the mimosa plant is a lot of researchers looking into artificial limbs technology has done a lot of research on this plant to try to see how they can utilize some of the hormones and the way the plant is able to trigger that movement of its stems to see how it can relate to maybe utilizing it in turgor pressure, for artificial limbs in humans and things like that. So it's just a really neat, cool plant you don't see a lot of around, and just in your general grocery store or anything like that. And we are lucky enough to have here at DCB Greenhouse. See, they're just so much fun. You just press that little guy and he just closes right up. A lot of fun. So that's our plant of the week. I'll put some pictures of this guy up on Facebook as well. And these guys do get these fun little flowers that look kind of like pom-pom balls, little fluffy things. And if we get it to flower again this year, we'll be posting pictures of that as well. So after that, we'll start and let April get into what she's been going to be talking about today. Say hi, April.
Hi, everybody. So what we're going to do is find some things that you might have in your house and you can grow. Some of these things you can possibly plant outside, some are just for fun. Grow them for a little while and throw them away. Just a fun educational thing. So this is a sweet potato, small one, but this is what I had at home. So these guys will actually, they have eyes, and they are not actually related to a normal potato at all. But out of those different eyes, you can get what's called potato slips. The plant will start to grow from the bottom. This is the top, the pointy end. The rounder end is the bottom. So you can get these potato slips starting to grow in a glass of water, a jar of water. We'll show you how to suspend that. And the roots will start to grow down into the water and the plant will grow up. So you can actually snap the slip off when it gets to be about this big and plant it in a pot and put that out in your garden. Now, sweet potatoes are really hard to grow in North Dakota and actually get a yield from. If you grow it just for fun, don't expect any sweet potatoes, especially ones, if you get any, they're probably not even going to be as big as this one.
And April, why are they so hard to grow in North Dakota?
They are from warmer areas. So like if you lived in Georgia, yeah, you could grow the heck out of sweet potatoes. Up here with our short growing season and our cooler daytime temperatures, it's a challenge. So what you're going to need is just some Q-tips. You just poke those in there. I mean
toothpicks.
Toothpicks. Not Q-tips, that wouldn't work very well. Just poke those in there so it looks like he's got some arms. Make sure the round side is down. And just set that in a jar of water like that. And then your slips will begin to grow up.
Does this need to be put in sunlight, or can it be kind of in the kitchen?
When I grew these before, I did them in my south-facing window of my kitchen, and they did pretty well. Yeah, the only time that I've ever successfully gotten a sweet potato crop to grow yet, I'm not done trying, was when I actually threw a sweet potato into my compost pile and forgot about it, and it started growing like gangbusters. I just let it grow, and I did get a tiny sweet potato.
Pretty cool.
Anyways, they're fun to do, and you can't eat the leaves off of sweet potatoes.
They're not like regular potatoes, because actually, little other side note, sweet potatoes and like regular potatoes are not even the same family. Do not eat the leaves off a potato plant, but you definitely can eat them off a sweet potato plant.
So here is your normal potato you would get at the store, right? These are actually sprayed with a compound to prevent them from sprouting. So I would not expect great results with this, but it's kind of fun. Also, when you're planting potatoes in your garden, you don't want to just go to the store and buy potatoes. For one, like I said, they are sprayed with this anti-sprouting compound, but also they're not certified disease-free. When you buy seed potatoes that are meant for planting, they've gone through a certification process to make sure that those plants don't have blight or anything else that's going to get in your soil and cause harm to our agricultural crops here in our state. We do grow a lot of potatoes here in North Dakota. But this is a fun thing to do. You can plant these in a tub or in your garden. Just realize that there could be some risk involved. I would try to do it in a tub if you can, a planter. But basically, get some potatoes and leave them in your pantry until the sprouts start to grow. Okay, I would go ahead and plant this one whole. Or when I'm planting potatoes outside, I sometimes cut them up. You don't need to. Some people feel you get a better yield if you just plant a whole potato, but each spot that a sprout is growing here is called an eye. Now a seed potato would probably have sprouts coming out of all the eyes, but that's an eye right here. That's an eye. That's an eye. That's an eye. That's an eye. I would never cut a potato into more than 3 or 4 pieces at the most. I've had better luck. I prefer to cut them in half. Get a few eyes in each one. So since we have 3 eyes with sprouts, the rest of the eyes don't have sprouts, I would go ahead and cut this potato right here. That's a pretty small chunk of potato there, but it will grow into a potato plant. Here we have 1 eye, but it has a bigger chunk of potato. It's going to draw its energy reserves off of this potato. It's going to pull starches and sugars, and that's what's going to get the plant growing. And potatoes are cool because I know it's cold out still. We're still getting freezing temperatures. You could go ahead and plant this, cover it up with straw or hay or even dead leaves or something like that, and just let it do its thing. It will grow when it's ready to grow.
As long as your soil's not frozen.
Yeah, as long as the soil's not frozen, you can go ahead and do it. You can even throw potatoes on top of the soil, cover them with straw, and they'll grow right in straw. So that's what we have there.
So these guys you would just plant with the eyes facing kind of towards the top of the soil, right? If you plant them in the ground, how far would you plant them?
That's a good point, yeah. It probably doesn't matter too much. As you can see, there's some little roots coming off of that sprout. I don't know if you can focus.
A little bit, not great.
Okay. Anyways, potatoes are really a forgiving crop. You get a lot out of them, and they don't ask for much. Next, we will do an avocado.
So this is just an avocado you bought from Walmart, right?
Yes. I ate this avocado yesterday for dinner. And it has kind of a more rounded end and a more pointy end here.
And you want to remember that a lot of these avocados, when you eat them, they have like a shell, like a kind of like a papery covering around them. You want to take off before you do this, right?
This part?
Yeah. Well, wasn't there a shell around that, or kind of like a flaky shell? No.
No, it's just the skin right on the pit. So you want to leave that intact. These can take a little while to grow.
Anywhere from 3 to 6 months. So if you can get one to germinate, it's pretty cool.
3 to 6 months? Wow.
Sometimes. Well, in the water, this method that she's doing here, it takes maybe a little bit less than that. But if you were to put these guys like in soil to try to germinate them that way, it will take 3 to 6 months before you get a baby plant. But this is probably the quickest way you can do it.
So my water level wasn't quite good enough. I guess you have to have that pretty full for these short seeds like this. Anyways, you could just stick it in a jar like that with some toothpicks and let it do its thing.
You're probably going to want to do more than just 2. 4 are the best, so that you keep that round bottom part always suspended in the water and it's not moving a lot. That's where the roots are going to come out of.
You do 4 seeds at once?
4 sticks and toothpicks in your.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of.
I bet you could actually put a few avocados in this if you have a wide mouth or a regular mouth jar. Mouth jar. So you mean like this?
Yep. Exactly, just like that.
Better. It's not flipping around in there now.
But it's still gonna take a while. These guys do need sunlight, so you need to put them in like a south-facing window, something along that lines. And they still don't be discouraged if after like 3 or 4 weeks you don't have anything, because it can still take 2 to 3 months. Hopefully this will take a little bit less time before these guys are going to germinate for you.
And another thing, your water is going to get funky.
You're going to want to change those out.
Dump the water out and put fresh water in there. I'd probably do that once a week if you can.
Yep, that's a good call.
So for
this is the fun part.
Here, we have this rotten pineapple.
It's rotten. It's just leaking juice everywhere.
I bought this and didn't get around to cutting it up, and this one is it's pretty squishy, so that's fine. This top part, we're gonna cut it off, and we can actually grow a whole new pineapple plant.
To have the most success at this, we kind of waited a little long on this guy. You still, hopefully, to be perfect not perfect, to be the best results, you're gonna want that top part to still have some live green on it, at least a little bit. Ours might still make it. I mean, there's still probably living material in there.
Yeah. So you can set this out for a few days and let the flesh kind of soften up and rot, or just peel it out of there.
And once that, you remove all that flesh from the top part, right?
Yeah. And I haven't actually done this before. Amy suggested you could pull off some of these bottom leaves, maybe.
Just a few of the bottom layers.
That's going to be probably right where your roots come out.
Yep, that's everywhere there's a leaf, there's a potential growth point for new roots to grow instead. So sometimes just helping remove a few of the bottom layers of the leaves will help, promote some new growth points. That damage you're making to that stem might trigger it to start making roots.
And here at the greenhouse, we use rooting hormone, which is this white powder, to help encourage roots when we do clones and that sort of thing. But
and you can find that at Tractor Supply or on Amazon, or even Walmart carries it as well.
Too. So another thing that I haven't tried this, but I've heard you can actually use honey in place of a rooting hormone. Since this is Pantry thing,
raw honey.
We're gonna go with raw honey. Yeah. So I would maybe slather this in honey, slather the bottom part in some honey, and that's going to help you develop some roots, and just plant it in your soil like that.
You're probably going to want to start keep it not overwatered, but water it a bit. But this is the results right here, guys.
This is what a pineapple looks like. A lot of people think it's a tree. It's not. It's this really dangerous bush.
Poke your eye out.
How many times I've been poked and scratched by these things. They have these hard, pointy, serrated leaves. Pretty dangerous things, but this guy really should be in a bigger pot.
But this guy was started the same way you guys just watched by a student here at DCB. From a pineapple they probably bought at Walmart. So, and you want to show, and this is what, if you had a greenhouse with plenty of lighting, you could eventually get off of your pineapple.
This is a tiny pineapple. This guy should have been planted in a much bigger pot. He's kind of been neglected.
There are little weeds growing out the bottom.
This is what you get. The pineapple grows out of the top. This plant is already starting to die back. I'm expecting this tiny little pineapple is going to start to ripen any day. It's not going to get big.
But it's going to taste yummy.
Just because it's really root bound, it needs to be in some better soil and a better pot.
And these guys can probably, go ahead.
When this is ripe, it's going to turn this golden yellow. And you'll be able to smell it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it'll be fragrant. And even though this is the tiniest pineapple you've ever seen, these are delicious. They're so much better than store-bought pineapples. It takes about a year for the plant to produce, a year to 2 years. It's a long time. It would need a south-facing window also, so a lot of room. If you have this in your house, you can go ahead and trim off these pointy ends so you don't lose an eye. That's how I know. And when we've grown these and harvested them in class here, we will cut up one tiny pineapple and split it between a bunch of people. Everybody gets a bite, and we all agree, hands down, they are so much better than the store-bought pineapples.
Amen to that.
Okay, some other things. I cut open a lemon last night. So if you find seeds in a lemon, a lime, limes don't usually have seeds, grapefruit or an orange, you can go ahead and put those in a paper towel and fold them up in the paper towel and just get it a little bit wet. Not too wet. You don't want to leave it too long, but you can go ahead and put that in a Ziploc bag like this. Put it in a warm area. And this will germinate. The seeds will germinate in, I don't know, maybe a week or less. Just, you can check them. And you can actually go ahead and plant those once they've started sprouting.
And you have your own little lemon, lime, or grapefruit or orange plant.
Yeah, you can do the same thing with apple seeds. Any apple that you're going to get from the store here, though, if you grow seed, it's not going to result in an apple tree that will actually survive our climate.
Or the apple, or produce apples that resemble the apple you got it from.
Yes, that's true. So it's just a fun thing to try. You don't expect lemon or an apple tree to grow here in North Dakota.
Unless you used the seeds from an apple that you bought, that you got from here off of a tree that grows here. But that being said, what you're probably going to get is a crab. Even if say you had an apple in your backyard growing and you get seeds off of it, most likely you're going to get a crab apple tree out of it. Yep. Because neat thing about apples is they have their genetics are really diverse, and like the chances of actually getting an apple that looks like the mother plant, or a tree that produces apples that looks like the mother plant from it, is so tiny. Majority of the time you're going to get apples that look like crab apples. And all of the apple trees you have now, and you buy and you plant in your yard, or you buy the apples at the store, are all from grafts. So what they have is the rootstock, the bottom of the tree, is actually a crab apple variety. And then they've taken a graft where they've cut, say you have like a Golden Delicious tree. They've taken a branch, a young baby sapling off of that Golden Delicious tree with the type of apple they want, and then they actually graft it onto that crab apple. So that baby crab apple tree, they take it and they splice the top of the crab apple off, and they use tape and I am terrible at grafting, but they actually were able to make those two conjoin so that the top part of the tree is actually a clone of that original Golden Delicious tree. So every single apple you eat, grocery store, you find at home, when you buy at Lowe's, anything like that, they're all grafts. And the bottom rootstock or the root part of that tree is actually a crab apple, some type of crab apple.
It's crazy to think that one variety of apple that could have come from one tree.
That someone just perfected.
Thousands of trees have been made from cutting clones off of one tree that somebody found.
And it probably took that individual years upon years to get that apple, just by trying to grow out different types of apples together to get that perfect apple.
Yeah. So some other things you can grow from your pantry at home if you need something to do is beans. The beans and lentils and things that we did in our microgreens video. You can try and grow any of those. Just stick them in some dirt and give them some water, and they should grow. Beans are pretty easy to germinate.
Pretty fast.
Yeah. Anything else you can think of?
No, I think that's it. And of course, guys, if you have any questions about what we did today or suggestions, starting in May, we are going to do something a little bit different. We'll still have our Green Thursdays on Thursday, but we're going to be working with a local nonprofit called Farms, which works with beginning farmers and has a lot of really neat internships for individuals who are interested in getting into small farming and other types of farming as well. And so we're going to be doing kind of like a series over those 4 Thursdays in May, where we're going to go through some of the different programs we have here at DCB, do some tours of the high tunnels and the different types of stuff we have going out here in the departments and here at the horticulture department, and also maybe talk a little bit about the forestry department and the new ag and hemp programs going on here at DCB as well. And we'll try to post the schedule up ahead of time, but there'll be a kind of a theme or a schedule for each Thursday. So there'll be a recorded video that we'll release the Wednesday before, a little 10-minute short video, and then we'll have a live video on the Green Thursdays for about it'll be anywhere from a half an hour, 25 minutes to 35 minutes. So it should be fun, and we'll look forward, hopefully by the end of this week or early next week, we'll have that schedule posted for you guys. So again, if you have any questions, let us know on our Facebook page. We're always great to answer stuff, and also keep an eye out for our plant sale coming this May.
That's right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. See you next week.
Bye.